Good morning, Close the Gap community. Have you had your dose of fruit today? Hello, my name is Leslie Fontenot. I'm Managing Director for Black Health Matters. And today we're going to have a candid conversation about exercise and nutrition. So did you know an active lifestyle complemented by a healthy, well-balanced diet can lengthen an individual's life expectancy a considerable amount? African Americans are at a higher risk of being diagnosed with diseases such as diabetes, obesity, heart disease, high blood pressure, and various cancers. So maintaining a healthy lifestyle throughout with consistent exercise and steady nutrition can help lessen the chances of being affected by these ailments. So for today, we have two presenters on exercise and nutrition. We have Victor Katch.
Katch.
Victor Katch, sorry.
That's all right.
Professor Emeritus of Kinesiology and Executive Vice President. Victor Katch has been doing research and teaching fitness, nutrition, and weight control for 45 years. Wow. You only look like you're 50 years old. You must have started at age 5, huh, Victor? He was the first head coach of the Michigan Wolverines women's basketball team, holding the position during the program's development. And then we also have presenter John Houston Smith. Many of you have seen him earlier today during our workout session. He's the owner of Grind Time Fitness. John launched Grind Time Fitness and is responsible for over 20,000 pounds of weight loss over the last 6 years. He started a gym that provides unlimited training at a low cost, customized meal plans, and even a staff chef to help with meal prep for his members. So please help me welcome Victor Katch and John Smith. And here you go, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Leslie. Good morning, America. My name is John Houston Smith. I'm honored to be on with you guys. And I gotta say that I'm super excited because I get to have this conversation with one of the most brilliant minds as it pertains to the human body. And if you've never met him, if you've never heard him speak, I promise you, you're in for a treat. Today, we want to talk about what wellness is. And when we talk about health and wellness, I believe in 2021, that scope is so limited because of the dominance in the newness, the fads, the stuff that we really don't need that they sell. They sell this stuff on the market. And I believe that the market has become so overwhelmingly flooded with stuff that tells us we need this in order to look like that. And people, from my experience, when they sign up to my gym, they sign up with the notion to look a certain way. But in order to change your physical appearance, a couple factors have to go into play. You can't just change your body without changing your mindset, your emotional state, and your spirit. Now, Professor Katch, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well, John. Thank you.
I'm so honored to be able to speak with you, man.
Thank you.
So I want to ask you a couple questions.
Sure.
Based off of your knowledge, because a lot of people don't know that the personal trainer certification course, you actually wrote it, So, to be able to hear your perspective on what wellness actually is something that I'm truly, truly excited about. So give me a crash course into your perspective of what wellness is.
Well, thank you, John. It's a pleasure to be here. Wellness is difficult to define because it means so many different things to so many different people. Often we think of wellness as absence of disease, or if you don't see a doctor, then you must be okay. That's sort of kind of a negative way. If there's nothing wrong with you, then therefore you must be okay. And so we keep trying to eliminate things. And as you suggested, there are many people trying to make a business and money off of wellness when it's actually up to the individual to understand what wellness is. And I look at wellness as a very holistic point of view. There are a lot of different dimensions of wellness. And for me, there are 6 kinds of dimensions or areas that we can classify whether a person is well. And of course, the physical dimension, we all think about, you know, what we look like, how big our muscles are, you know, how fast we can run and so forth. But, and it has to do with eating, but there's a lot of other things that are involved in whether a person is well. Their emotional fitness, if you will, whether they have any longstanding trauma, which we know affects everything we do. This is particularly true in underserved communities and people who have historical trauma. There's sort of your intellectual abilities and wellness, you know, how curious you are, how you look at things in the world, how you react to things that are happening around you. There's interpersonal wellness, how we react between people, like how we accept people. Are we, you know, do we have a certain amount of empathy and concern for other people? We know very clearly by research, and all this is based on research, that when we take care of other people, that fuels ourselves, that fuels our emotional and intellectual and interpersonal wellness. And so it's good for us to deal with other and help and be connected and helping other people. There's also spiritual wellness. Are we on a path to something bigger than us? And this is all of these sort of dimensions are tied together. And lastly, we shouldn't forget environmental wellness. You know, we have to take care of our environment. It affects all of us. It affects our personal, nutritional, intellectual, emotional health. And so we have to be able to look at this thing of how we learn certain behaviors within these dimensions to make us well. And in fact, wellness means a whole lot of things. Positive wellness, at least as I look at it, is sort of a set of experiences and joy, contentment, combined with a sense of well-being, that things are worthwhile in our life, that there's a meaning for living. You know, the Japanese have a term for it. It's called Ikigai. That is, every morning you wake up with a purpose. You have a feeling of that you're important to someone else, your environment, pets, the world, people around you, your family, however. And so that this Ikigai, this purpose in life, is very important for us to be well. In any one of these dimensions, it takes a long time to learn how to do this. And you do this in your interactions with your customers. You just don't get them to lift weights or just eat. You combine all of it. It's a whole sort of, as my mother used to make this goulash, and I used to say, "What's in it?" And she says, "Everything that's good for you."
Everything
That's good for you. And so we really need to look at this as a very holistic sort of wellness. And we know, for example, that there's a whole field of study that's called epigenetics. That is, we can change sort of our DNA. We can get our DNA to express in a different way, to take on different characteristics that make us well. And we have to practice this. You know, we have to practice wellness. It doesn't come in a pill.
No.
It doesn't come with just making a big muscle. And it doesn't come with just eating a grapefruit.
Right.
We have to learn to do this, and it's a lot of hard work. And once we understand this and become cognizant of it, we make little changes over time, and we can see the benefits all the time. I've sort of looked at this as, you know, 5 things that people ask me when I go around the United States giving lectures to corporations. They say, "Okay, enough of all the science and all these other research things. What do I do?"
Right.
Give me some practical things to do. And so I've sort of boiled it down as I understand it. And as I look at all the research and the information and facts that we have to come down, and I sort of say to people, move more and sit less. You know,
I love it.
inactivity is a disease.
True.
And so we really need to learn to move more. It's not running a marathon. It's not necessarily going to the gym and exercising for 45 minutes on a piece of equipment. We have to learn to be movers all the time. So I even have on my phone and clock and stuff, I get up every 15 minutes, no matter what I'm doing, and I get up and stand up and move around for 15 seconds or 30 seconds. Now, if you can do what you do, or if you can be a runner or a walker, which I am, that's an extra bonus.
Yeah, and you know what? I love how you explain the 6 elements of wellness, because especially in this day and age, so many times we commonly equate wellness with how we look, and we limit it at that. And I was just talking to the members that we were just training that it's not just limited to how you look, because you can be physically in shape and spiritually out of shape,
That's
mentally
right.
out of shape, emotionally out of shape. And I know people who have the perfect body with no joy, with no peace, with no sense of self-awareness and understanding. So let's jump into it. I know we talked about the physical wellness aspect, eating a little bit less and moving a little bit more. And you're 100% correct. It's not in you having to get up and lift the most weights or do the most squats. You might just take the stairs at work, you know, instead of getting on the elevator. If you got to run in your car, you might just walk down 10 flights of stairs and elect to walk back up those 10 flights of stairs in efforts to just increase your mobility factor.
Yeah,
so I love
John,
that.
I just interrupt you for a second.
No, you're good.
My brother and I, who we worked together on this, we wrote a book about fidgeting, about the benefits of being a fidgeter. Of all the things that you can do to fidget and increase your caloric expenditure, increase the amount of activity that you do that you're talking about. And that fuels so many other things. I'm sorry for interrupting. You can go on.
No, you're good. You're good. Because I want to know your scope, because it sounds like these 6 elements don't just stand on their own. They sound like they're intertwined.
They are. And you've got to boil each one of these down to manageable things that you can do. You know, like in the spiritual path, all of us have to find a path, a spiritual path, in some way that's comfortable for us. Some of it may be organized religion. Some of it may be involved with just how we view the world. But we always want to become a better citizen, a better friend, a better parent, a better neighbor, you know, a better person. And, you know, our mothers and grandmothers always taught us how to do that. And we have to practice it. It doesn't come, a lot of these things don't come natural. People always ask me about nutrition. What do I eat? What do I eat? What do I eat? And it's not easy because the science of nutrition is relatively new, and we're still learning more and more about it. When they ask me, like, what do I eat? And I say, you know, I eat real food, not fake food, real food. I eat real food, not too much, mostly plants.
I love it. I take the intermittent fasting approach, and I close my eating window after a certain time, and I'll fast for another 16 hours. And for me, you know, I believe that there is no one diet that does it. I believe you have to do what is sustainable for you.
That's
if
right.
you can find something, people who like keto, if it works for you and you can stick to it, because it's not the diet that does the work, it's you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we talk about the physical aspect, and then we talk about the nutritional portion. And I think that a lot of times we are trying to eat the same thing, and it doesn't work the same for everybody. So you're 100% correct. My question to you is, how do you think that our physical wellness ties into our emotional wellness?
Well, clearly we view our physical health through our emotional lens, through our spiritual lens. If we're comfortable with who we are, what we look like, we're not all the same. I mean, look at us. We're very different, and we have to be able to learn to accept what we are, how we got the way we are. I don't have any hair.
It's all right.
I'm losing a little muscle as I'm getting older, and I have to learn, and this has been a long path. And all through that, you have to sort of practice becoming comfortable with who you are. That's not easy because we're inundated by advertising, by other people. We look at ourselves, not by ourselves. We look at ourselves through the lens of someone else. We think someone sees us and sees, oh my, I can look in the mirror and see this little pimple or a little hair. And we say, oh my God, that's terrible. I do this, or I comb my eyebrow, and because we think other people see us that way. And so we think they see this, and they don't care.
Right.
Quite frankly, because they're doing the same thing. And so becoming accepting of who the differences we have. Nobody's alike. We're very different. If you look at all sentient beings are all different in all the different animals. My God, look at the variety there is. Mm-hmm. And so we can't all be what we see on television that the marketers tell us that's what we're supposed to be.
I tell my clients, because I have predominantly women, and women are so hard on themselves because they want to look like this girl that they see on TV, because they think that they need to look like this in order to fit in this scope of society, to get this type of man, or, look this type of way so their husband will love them. And I tell them, I say, listen, don't start working out so you can start loving yourself. Love yourself enough to work out. You can't compare yourself to who someone else is today. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday. My only competition is who John was 24 hours ago. So I'm cool. I have no anxiety and pressure because all I'm trying to outdo is who I was yesterday. And when we approach life that way, I think it yields emotional health. And I believe it makes us more comfortable in who we are. You said something that I really like. You said we have to learn how to become comfortable in who we are. Loving every freckle, loving every pimple, loving every scar, every bit of cellulite, every stretch mark. If you got love handles, you need to love your handles. You know what I'm saying? And if you want to change it, then change it. But don't wait till you change it to start loving who you are. Love yourself at every step of the way.
It takes a lot of work, and it's a lot. It doesn't happen overnight. So we have to learn how to do this and practice it. I'm always a believer. When I coach basketball, and now I coach my little grandkids. And I used to say it's the 6 P's: perfect, practice, prevents, poor, performance. So you have to perfectly practice these things that are involved in wellness. It doesn't come natural to some people. Some people's background, their upbringing, a lot of people. I was the director and started the weight control clinic at the University of Michigan. And we had hundreds of clients coming in. I never would deal with an individual unless I dealt with their family, because it's all tied in, so that we all have to learn to do this. When we had mothers and families bringing their kids into the weight control clinic, and I said, well, I'm not going to treat your kid or deal with the kid unless I deal with you, because you're giving that kid bad information. There was the place in the refrigerator for the mom, but everyone else could eat everything else. I said, whoa, that's a problem. Why do you have your special food and they don't?
Facts.
So it's a full-on thing. It's not easy.
Yeah. I remember I had a young lady who came in, and she was trying to get her daughter to lose weight. So she came in and I said, well, I'm not training your daughter unless you're here. I train children for free when their parents are members.
Good for
right?
you.
So she's training her, and I walk past and I kind of observe my members and as they're working out to make sure they're doing proper form. And I noticed her talking down to her daughter because her daughter was tired. Her daughter was new, and her daughter was like 9. So she's beating down her daughter, and I pull her to the side. I said, hey, come here. I said, do you understand that this is why your baby is out of shape? What do you mean? I said, it's not her body. It's her mind. I said, because I bet my bottom dollar that you do this at home. She came in with a different perspective and she started to support her daughter instead of judging her and demeaning her, because then that makes the child not want to work out. You're 100% correct. How that tied into that baby's emotional health and how it tied into her physical health as well. And the young girl ended up losing 20 pounds with me, and her mom ended up losing 40 pounds with me. And I believe it improved their relationship at home. And you're 100% correct. It's not just our bodies, it's all of the variables and factors tied to it. How much of what we do affects our intellectual wellness? Let's talk about that, because I think we all want to be smarter. We all want to think better, or we should want to. You know, take me down your crash course of how our wellness should be approached from an intellectual standpoint.
Well, part of this sort of intellectual wellness are those, how we challenge our minds to learn new things and be open to different changes. So we have to first know how to search information, where we get our information from, how we view that information. So we're continually learning and sort of ensuring that you're open to new ideas. You always question everything. If someone says, like, where's the evidence that this is true? Creativity and curiosity, these are all sort of characteristics of someone who's intellectually brilliant. That doesn't mean they have to have a degree. My son, who's now 25 and he's trying to be a rapper. So if you can help him, he's in this, for me, crazy world. He dropped out of college at MSU, and he's brilliant. This kid is absolutely brilliant. He's intellectually well, with no degree. And but he's curious, he's interested, he questions things all the time. He challenges positions, he looks at things, he's always trying to improve himself to be a better person. He's intellectually well. And so it's more than just the facts. It's sort of this creative process. And we can find people at all different levels of life and of their level of sort of achievement, if you will, if you can use that term. I don't know if I don't like that term, but you have some intellectually well people across the whole spectrum of humans, regardless of what their body looks like. And so, or all these other areas, the more intellectually well they are, that sense of humor, creativity, questioning things, that feeds into them understanding how to take care of their bodies, what to eat, questioning certain things like, why am I doing this? Is there a better way? Seeking out different advice from different people. And, there's a real difference between someone who is intelligent and someone who has a lot of wisdom. Those things I don't know how you match those things up. We find these people who are intellectually well and have a lot of wisdom. They have some experience. They know how to gauge certain things and get through the BS and for their own selves, they're really quite well.
Right.
And you may not see it when you just look at them from the outside.
Yeah. You know what? I have to say that listening to what you're saying, my favorite one, and one of the most important to me would be the interpersonal. I have members who come in and, you know, they might be dealing with depression, especially now this year. A lot of people have lost a lot of people. And a lot of people are going through a lot within their mental states. And I have this young lady comes in, sweet girl, and she just wouldn't smile. She wouldn't speak to anybody. And before any of my classes start, I tell people, turn to your neighbor and say hello, speak to them, give them a compliment. I make everybody speak to someone and give them a compliment. And I watched this young lady because she came in my door. She wouldn't speak to anybody. You know, she didn't like herself, and she was diagnosed with depression. So for whatever reason, her emotional state was out of whack. And she comes in, and first day, I say, all right, everybody speak to somebody. So you got almost 100 people in here speaking to each other. And she didn't want to speak. The next day, I do it every single day. So over time, it makes her turn to the other person and say, I like your eyebrows, or I like your shirt. And then by week 3, she's like, what's up, girl? It's good to see you. And that interpersonal wellness is so important because a lot of our emotional health is tied up into the way we treat others. You see, talk about, you know, your perspective as it relates to the importance of interpersonal relationships and interpersonal wellness.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. You know, research shows very clearly that in the United States, once you sort of are out of the house at 18 or 19 or wherever, we disperse out. People go to college. Most people stay in the areas where they go to college. They're no longer home within their own communities, their own bases. And as they grow older, they don't have these personal connections to people. Home is somewhere else. Their friends are all dispersed. You know, in other cultures where interpersonal relationships are primary, they have anywhere between 3 and 5 people that they've grown up with to share throughout their lives. In the US, we have on the average of 1 person. So we've lost this connectedness. And it's shown that when people are able to connect interpersonally, like you described, you know, you're teaching people to do that with neighbors, going down and saying hello to everybody. My wife and I walk every day. We stop with our masks on and everything, say, hi, how are you? Nice to see you. And it builds a connection. Some people stop and say, hey, how are you? You know, how'd you get that mask or stuff? Or, you know, I really like your coat, like you're suggesting. That becomes very infectious. And we feel better when we connect with other people because they connect with us. Just a smile when it's hard with the mask now, but just smiling with people and saying hi and making a comment, a positive comment. It's important for us, not just for them. It's important for us. You know, it's like this whole thing with wearing a mask. It's not just important for us, it's important for other people.
Yeah.
And so this is very important, and you have to learn to do this. And yet we don't, you know, we sort of stop it, you know, keep your eyes down. And a lot of this is cultural. A lot of it is learned from where you are, you know, in the kinds of communities you grow up in, with built into with safety in your environment. And we really need to get more connections and get people to feel better about being a friend, about being a neighbor, about being someone that you can see. One of the biggest problems in here is most people, and this is particularly true with women, they don't feel heard or seen. Really heard and seen by someone who says, God, yeah, that's good. I hear you. I see you. That's so important, even if it's just a one time. And this builds on that. And we learned in the weight control clinic, this was so true with people, individuals who came, most of them, they were all overweight. We ended up having a lot of people come to the clinic who weren't overweight, but came to the clinic because they wanted to health themselves. I taught a course called Health Yourself.
Wow.
And that's because nobody's not going to help you.
Mhm.
You've got to help yourself. And so how do you do that? How do you learn to do helping yourself? You know,
Yeah.
we don't teach this. You know, we learn this from our connections with people, from our mothers and our grandmothers and our family that are able to call us out and say, hey, you shouldn't be doing that. That's not healthy for you. It's not good for you.
Right.
Put it down. And when we build on this over time with people that we love, that we know, that support us, that see us, we learn to do those kinds of things. And it's better for us and it's better for everybody. We are better neighbors and healthier people.
You know what? I have a member named Ashley. Ashley is one of my favorite members, and I'll tell you why. Ashley weighed 202. And the reason I know she weighed 202 is because she stayed at this same weight, Victor, for almost 6 months. Now, every 2 weeks when we were physical, I would have everybody, weigh in so I could check everybody's weight. I have over 300 members. So I needed to make sure I was helping every single person in their own way. So on Mondays was like a free cardio day. So while you're working out on your own, I'm calling out names over the loudspeaker, and you come over here and you privately weigh in. We have a private conversation as to what's going on. So everybody's losing weight. Everybody's doing great, except for Ashley. Ashley is at 202. I mean, for 6 months, to the point where I'm like, all right, come on, Ashley, let's get on for 2. I know we're about to be 202. Let's see. And so I had tried to give her all the motivational talk. So you can do it. You got to believe in yourself. You got to be consistent. To the one point I said, listen, you ain't listening. And at this point, I'm about to stop talking. Because another problem is I think we sometimes keep pouring into leaky buckets and get mad when we're empty, when the people that we're trying to help ain't listening. So I told her, I said, listen, I love you enough to just stop talking, and I'm going to just let you have whatever you think you need. So I asked her, I said, what is going on? What is keeping this weight on you? Because she was so consistent. She was working out every single day, Victor. She says, I drink every night. I say, okay, cool. But what's making you drink every night? And she just stared at me blank in the face. I said, because it's not just the symptom. We got to attack the root. I said, I want you to go home tonight, and I want you to come back to me when you're ready, and I want you to tell me what makes you feel like you need to drink every day in order to feel like yourself. Because it was really a version of herself. And so she says, okay, she comes back, and she says, it's unforgiveness. I hate my mother. My mother wasn't there for me. I said, so what happened? She said, well, when I got older, the way I coped with not having a mother was I used to just drink. And she fell in love with the way the drinking made her feel, the safety that she found in the drinking. Now we fast forward to where she's on my scale, and we're staring at the symptom. We're staring at the product of what she's doing every night. But the root cause, my mother used to plant flowers, and she has a green thumb like crazy. And she would tell me, baby, you can't just cut the top of the weed. You got to pluck it from the root. You got to go at the root cause of where the problem is. And I think that when we try to go after wellness, we look at the outer surface, but we don't look at who we are, what's really going on, why I feel like I have to emotionally eat instead of just trying to fix my emotions. You see? So the interpersonal was really, really, really key for me. And you're 100% correct. What tip would you give someone who comes on this line and says, all right, I'm out to really try to just get this done? What should be my approach on day one?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you have to boil it down to some very primary principles, and then you have to expand on each of these. For depending on what symptoms are, in order to get to the cause, the underlying cause, to how to treat that. At least for me, I see 5 things. I see looking at physical activity, nutrition, this Ikigai thing, this purpose of life,
Yeah.
I see connections, and I see sleep.
Mm.
And so getting at the sort of the underlying symptoms that are causing people outward appearance or something that they don't like, if you can, or at least for me, have an individual understand in those four or five areas, what they are doing and what the cause is, and what the symptom is, then we can look at the cause within those areas.
Mm.
Many times people who have depression or overweight or something, they have real sleep issues, and they never recognize it as a sleep issue. So they have disruptive sleep. They're up too late. They don't set regular patterns in their life. They don't understand about sleep health, sleep wellness, which is a major contributor to being overweight and having emotional problems. So once you get at some of these symptoms, then you can figure out an approach to deal with it. For me, the two major ones that I've listed these 5 things, but the ones that you can deal with pretty quickly are physical activity and nutrition without taking pills or any of this other stuff. And that is, again, a learning process. And we have to teach people how to do this. And there's no magic cure to this. There's no magic pill right now.
Victor, I had such a great time talking to you, sir. And I appreciate you for your knowledge, your brilliance, and your time and dedication to fitness, health, and nutrition. So on behalf of personal trainers everywhere, since you wrote the manual for us to go by, thank you, sir. I honor you, man. And to our Black Health Matters family and community, we hope you guys enjoyed this segment. Be blessed, be safe, take care.
Thank you very much. Same to you, John.